Welcome to Golden Rule Wisdom. Today we share an ancient Zen story about the incredible power of silence over destructive anger. Once upon a time, there lived a woman who struggled deeply with a fierce temper that controlled her entire daily life. She would constantly shout at her husband over the smallest mistakes, creating a harsh environment filled with unnecessary tension and pain. Even her innocent children were not spared from her explosive outbursts, leaving them feeling frightened, confused, and desperately seeking safe distance. Her neighbors began to avoid her completely, crossing the street whenever they saw her approaching to escape her bitter, angry words. Soon, she found herself entirely isolated within her own home, realizing that her uncontrollable rage had driven everyone she loved away. And her husband stopped sharing his thoughts, and her children locked themselves in their rooms, leaving her to face her lonely reality. Deep down, she felt profound regret and sorrow, knowing her fiery temper was destroying the precious family she actually cherished dearly. Desperate for a solution, she decided to seek guidance from a wise old monk known for his deep understanding of emotions. She walked up the steep mountain path toward the ancient temple, hoping to find a cure for her toxic, burning anger. The temple was a sanctuary of absolute peace, surrounded by ancient trees and the gentle sound of wind chimes echoing softly. She knelt before the serene old monk, tears streaming down her face as she confessed her inability to control her rage. She begged him for a magical remedy, anything that could stop the terrible words from escaping her mouth and hurting others. The wise monk listened with profound compassion, his eyes reflecting a deep understanding of the heavy burden she carried within her. Without saying a word, the monk stood up and slowly walked into a dimly lit back room of the quiet temple. He returned holding a small, beautifully crafted glass bottle filled with a crystal-clear liquid that caught the soft morning light. He gently placed the delicate bottle into her trembling hands, explaining that this was a rare and powerful medicine for anger. He instructed her carefully, "Whenever you feel the heat of anger rising in your chest, immediately open this small glass bottle. Place exactly 4 drops of this magical liquid onto your tongue, and then close your mouth tightly for 10 full minutes. The most important rule is that you must not speak a single word during those 10 minutes, no matter what happens." She grasped the bottle tightly, feeling a renewed sense of hope, and promised the monk she would follow his exact instructions. She returned to her house, holding the bottle close to her heart, now ready to face the daily challenges with new determination. The very next morning, her husband accidentally spilled his hot coffee all over the freshly cleaned dining table during breakfast time. Instantly, a familiar wave of intense fury surged through her body, and cruel words rushed quickly to the tip of her tongue. Just before she started screaming, she suddenly remembered the old monk's serious warning and quickly reached into her deep apron pocket. She pulled out the small bottle, carefully dropped 4 drops onto her tongue, and firmly clamped her mouth shut, as instructed. During the first 2 minutes, her mind was a violent storm, silently screaming all the terrible things she desperately wanted to say. Her face turned bright red with suppressed rage, but she kept her lips tightly sealed, refusing to break the monk's rule. By the 5th minute, something miraculous began to happen within her mind. The intense burning sensation in her chest started fading. Her husband, expecting a massive explosion of anger, looked at her in absolute shock as she silently began wiping the table. When the 10 minutes finally passed, the dark cloud of anger had completely vanished, leaving her feeling surprisingly calm and grounded. Instead of shouting, she looked at her husband and gently said that it was just an accident and easily cleaned up. Her husband released a long breath of relief, smiling warmly at her for the first time in what felt like years. Later that afternoon, her children ran through the hallway with muddy shoes, leaving dirty footprints across the freshly washed wooden floor. Again, the anger flared up instantly, but she quickly took out the bottle, applied the 4 drops and remained perfectly silent. The children froze in fear, waiting for the usual terrifying scolding. But their mother simply stood there quietly with closed lips. As the 10 minutes ticked by slowly, she watched her frightened children and realized how much her anger usually terrified them. When she finally spoke, her voice was remarkably soft, simply asking them to clean up the mud and wash their shoes. The children eagerly grabbed the mops, happy and relieved that their mother had not transformed into the angry monster they feared. By the 3rd day, the magical water was working wonders. The chaotic household was slowly transforming into a peaceful, loving environment. Even the neighbors noticed the incredible change, seeing her smile warmly over the garden fence instead of shouting bitter, angry complaints. On the 5th day, she realized she was reaching for the bottle less frequently as the initial sparks of anger weakened. After exactly 7 days, the atmosphere in her home had completely shifted from a battlefield into a sanctuary of genuine warmth. She looked down at the tiny glass bottle, now completely empty, and felt an overwhelming wave of profound gratitude and joy. She immediately packed a basket of fresh fruits and hurried back up the mountain path to properly thank the wise monk. She found him sweeping the temple courtyard, his face radiating the same peaceful tranquility she had admired during her first visit. She bowed deeply, presenting her gifts, and joyfully exclaimed that the magical medicine had completely saved her broken family from ruin. She eagerly asked him for the secret recipe of the liquid, willing to pay any price to keep her family safe. The old monk stopped sweeping, leaned gently on his wooden broom, and offered her a very warm, knowing, and gentle smile. He calmly revealed the great secret. The bottle contained absolutely no magical potion, just ordinary pure drinking water from the well. The woman stared at him in utter disbelief, completely confused as to how plain water could cure her terrible, lifelong rage. The monk explained softly that the water did nothing. The true, powerful medicine that healed her family was simply her silence. He told her that anger is exactly like a fierce, destructive fire that suddenly sparks within the depths of our minds. When we speak during those moments of rage, our harsh words act like strong winds, feeding the flames to burn brighter. Those furious winds cause the fire to spread rapidly, burning down relationships and destroying the precious trust we built over years. By keeping your mouth tightly closed for 10 minutes, you effectively cut off the vital oxygen supply that feeds the fire. Without the wind of your words to sustain it, the dangerous fire of anger naturally burns out and quickly fades away. Once the flames disappear, your logical mind and compassionate heart have the necessary time and quiet space to safely return home. Tears of true understanding filled her eyes as she finally realized the profound wisdom hidden within the monk's incredibly simple trick. She understood that anger is only a temporary visitor, a fleeting storm that eventually passes if we simply refuse to engage. While the feeling of anger lasts only a moment, the cruel words spoken in rage can cause deep, permanent emotional scars. A physical wound on the body can heal within weeks, but a harsh word can bleed inside a heart for decades. The monk gently reminded her to always carry the invisible bottle of silence within her heart wherever she goes in life. She walked back down the mountain path, feeling lighter than air, and carrying a profound newfound wisdom that would protect her forevermore. Her home remained a beautiful sanctuary of peace where disagreements were handled with patience, understanding, and thoughtful, carefully chosen, gentle words. She even taught this wonderful secret to her growing children, ensuring they would never let sudden anger destroy their future relationships. The simple practice of a 10-minute pause became a cherished family tradition, passed down through generations as a shield against conflict. This beautiful story reminds every single one of us about the incredible, transformative power hidden within a brief moment of silence. Whenever you feel the hot sting of anger rising, remember to pause, breathe deeply, and give yourself 10 minutes of quiet. By choosing silence over reaction, you actively protect the hearts of those you love from unnecessary pain and lasting emotional damage. A true strength is not shown by how loudly you can yell, but by how peacefully you can master your own mind. Conquering your own destructive emotions is the greatest victory any person can ever achieve in this complex and challenging modern world. Try this simple practice in your own life today and watch how quickly your relationships blossom into something truly beautiful again. Silence is indeed the most potent medicine for anger, a timeless remedy that requires no money, only patience and mindful awareness. Thank you for watching Golden Rule Wisdom. May you always find the strength to choose silence over anger. See you soon!